The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is about to enter its sixth month. The conflict has not just resulted in terrible human cost, but has also exposed the massive loopholes in the global security organizations and their inability to stop such conflicts. What's even more tragic is the whataboutery that's going on over the conflict while the innocent on both the sides continue to suffer.
A photo collage of the smiling young people killed by Hamas terrorists who attacked a music festival last October was set up by families and friends at the same site.
This picture brings such a power of the strength and of the beautiful kids that were here, and they will never dance again, which is the saddest thing that we can imagine.
The conflict in Gaza has been going on for almost 5 months now, with human cost at both the sides, with no respite in sight yet. Families of Israeli hostages held for 145 days in Gaza began a 4-day march from the Gaza border to Jerusalem in a unified call to free all hostages, while mediated efforts to reach a deal between Israel and Hamas were underway.
145 endless days and nights of yearning for our loved ones, which send them strength and ask them to hold a little longer. Omer, just a little longer. A deal is possible. Starting today, we will march for 4 days under the message, United for the Release of Hostages. We call on the public, on our families, on our friends, to join us on this march of hope from Gaza to Jerusalem.
Meanwhile, Palestinians displaced by the ongoing military offensive on Gaza are holding on to keys to damaged or destroyed homes, a symbol of their loss due to the ongoing conflict.
During the truce, I got in touch with one of my relatives who is there, and he told me, "May God compensate you. The house is gone." And I told him that I still have in hand the key that gives me direction. This key is left as a symbol of that house. This has been a symbol in our hands. That's the house, and this is the key left from that home, which I worked hard for. I am now 44 years old. At this age, I need to start my life from the beginning and build a new house.
Whereas builders of Palestine, who used to build houses before the conflict started, are now tasked with building graves.
As a human being who has feelings, it feels heavy to go from buildings, villas and buildings, which I love, to build graves. But I said, no problem, let's work. But the thing is that building graves is a difficult job, but not an easy one. The usual number would be 2 or 3 people per day. I would say we do not get 3 people in a week, but today the numbers are huge. Some days we would get 30-40 people. It is not a small number.
The US President Joe Biden said he hopes to have the ceasefire in place by 4th March.
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, replying to the US President, once again resisted the increasing pressure to end the war, calling for campaign to continue until a total victory.
Since the beginning of the war, I have been leading a political campaign with a purpose to curb the pressures intended to end the war before its time, and on the other hand, to gain support for Israel. We have significant success in this area, because today the Harvard-Harris poll is published in the United States, which shows that 82% of the American public supports Israel. This means 4 out of 5 citizens in the US support Israel and not Hamas. This gives us another year of strength to continue the campaign until complete victory.
עד לניצחון המוחלט.
With the United Nations unable to bring respite to the sufferings of people so far, it once again reiterated the call to end the hostilities, calling out the war crimes committed from both the warring factions.
The war in Gaza must end. Clear violations of international human rights and humanitarian laws, including war crimes and possibly other crimes under international law, have been committed by all parties. It is time, well past time, for peace, investigation and accountability.
As the world watches these developments, the lasting effects on the affected families and the broader geopolitical implications underscore the complexity of the situation, with a lasting peace still elusive for the region.